Welcome to Complete Kids Online, friendly discussions about autism and other developmental disabilities. Learn how working together is working better, one conversation at a time.
Welcome to the latest and greatest podcast, The Complete Kids. We're here with Jen Pfuelb, Jen Pfuelb has an interesting business. Thanks for coming, Jen, by the way.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
She does, well, I'm going to let her tell you. Jen, tell
All
us.
right. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a Disney travel planner, but I recently just got my certification in autism travel planning. So that way I can work with neurodivergent families and help them find the resources they need to go to Disney and find the supports they need in place as well.
And so I know, Jen, we just did a blog post on her on completekids.com. If you go to the blog section, you can find her. And I believe also in there, we'll slate it at the end, Jen, but I believe also there's ways for us to get in touch with you.
Yes, absolutely.
But so tell us what that involves, as far as, first tell us how you got into the Disney thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've actually always been a Disney girl since I was a little kid, always went to Disney, loved it. Um, and also on the side as well, I was a teacher pretty much straight out of college. So I was a special ed teacher for 7 years. And during that time, I would always hear, I would ask them about Disney trips, and when parents would come in and they would say, no, we're so concerned about him going to Disney because I don't know how he's going to be. It's overwhelming. There's a lot happening. And so that kind of gave me the idea of, well, let's make that feel like it's a doable thing for parents, because Disney does have so many things set up and in place that I think it's just important to be able to help parents connect to those resources and find those resources. So kind of going into what it is. So I'll do everything for them pretty much. I will kind of help them look at the trip. I like to start with getting to know the child, the family, etc. Especially like sensory triggers is really big, and getting to know kind of what motivates them. And then I want to make like a customized itinerary based on that. So being able to find, I just had someone recently who came to me. Her granddaughter had autism, and she is absolutely in love with Little Mermaid. So I made sure they got the Little Mermaid room. I'm trying to incorporate a visual schedule with the Little Mermaid to kind of give an idea and help them see day to day what that would look like.
Do you also give like advice, Jen? Like maybe, hey, look, speaking to you about your particular child, this idea or this aspect of Disney might not be the best for you.
Yes, absolutely. I think the biggest thing is actually a ride guide. And so looking at certain sensory triggers, whether that be lights or sudden stops and all of that, that's actually provided. And I will provide families with that shows them which rides maybe they don't want to go to, or what kind of like harnesses are in place if that's a concern. Or even calm down areas, where to avoid parts of the park that get a little bit crazier and where to go so it's a little bit calmer for them as well.
And I'm assuming that's all customized based on the individual child.
Yes, 100%
Yeah,
individualized to the
yeah.
child. Yep, yep.
And then, what are some of the things that like you would ask parents just to get to know, what their customized
Yeah.
trips itinerary would be like?
Yeah, absolutely. So usually I start with kind of seeing budget and what they're looking for, just the general kind of Disney questions that you would go
Hmm.
for, and getting to know, most importantly, the child. So again, looking at what motivates this child, what interests them, you know, how do they have any sensory supports that they need to take with them? Is there something like a motivational tool or fidget that they would need? And then going again with like, what is it that are sensory triggers? What's overwhelming for this family? And then kind of customizing, even like maybe it's not a good idea to do a full day. Maybe let's break it down into parts based on slower times of the day. So kind of just really getting to know that child ins and outs of what they like, what they don't like, what, they can be able to handle throughout the day and that kind of thing.
And then you send, I guess, an itinerary, correct, of sorts?
Yes. Yep.
And how, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to just ask, how is that delivered?
Usually by email or text, it's up to the family what works best. If they are local, then I always like to be in person because I think it helps to get to know everyone better.
Mhm.
But I do serve families all across the country. So if not, then I try definitely to do more email seems to be the best way.
Mhm.
And again, even if it's set, we can always make changes. There's up until the last 30 days, we can completely change days, hotel, everything.
And what about support when they're down there, Jen? Like, hey, we didn't realize this until we got on the trip, but X is and Y and Z are happening.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm always on call pretty much any time for any parent that is going. But in addition, we also will work directly with Disney. So instead of them needing to go to guest services, I would try to call ahead of time. And we have a travel agent line that we can connect to try to help solve some of those issues that might come up.
And you're Florida based, Jen?
The Mickey Travels itself is Florida
Yeah,
based, but I'm here in Greensboro locally.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
You did
yeah.
say that on the blog. I do remember now. And then what about some of the things that you would just say, up front to kind of have prepared for a meeting with you or a chat with you about, some things that you kind of want to know. You mentioned the budget and stuff like that, but other things specific to, the kids and issues with sensory stuff.
So you're saying what? I'm sorry. Can you repeat that question?
Sure,
I got a little
just like
confused
what?
from that.
Yeah. So, and I didn't say it that well. So when a parent comes to you with, they're planning a trip, obviously you talked about budget and stuff like that, but what other things specific to the kid do you need to know about to plan a perfect trip?
Yeah, absolutely. Diet is one thing in particular, so that way we can know in advance if there are any kind of restrictions that are needed, and we can give that and make decisions based on that. The budget, 100%, and the extent of stay, I mean, how long they're looking for are very important. If they're interested in the disability access pass, I know that there's been a lot of challenges with the new process that has rolled out. And so I would hope to just work with them little by little, preparing them, with the enrollment process, sending the application in, getting on that interview with them, and kind of help them step by step with that. And I think that's one of the biggest things that pop up as questions is the disability access pass.
Yeah. And how does, so, mom's coming down with 2 or 3 kids, only one kid is on the spectrum. So you take, the other kids into account when you're trying to plan out the trip and the days and
Yes.
stuff like that.
And actually, with the disability access pass, it's up to 4 of the immediate family members. If there is sometimes when you have an immediate, that might be 5 kids, and they would consider that as well. But all 4 of those would be looped in with that access pass.
So that would be mom, dad, and 2 kids, basically. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So how do we get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can reach out to me. You can directly message me on Instagram, which is Mickey Travels with Jenny, and that's just JENNY. Or on Facebook is Jenny Pfuelb at Mickey Travels. Or I have my email, which is jpfuelb@gmail.com. And any of those ways work.
And so what are some things, as a parent, you're thinking about going to Disney, but I'm really afraid, obviously it's not a quiet, relaxing beach or something like that, or a quiet pool, talk me through my fears about that as a parent.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a big concern that happens. And one thing we really want to focus on then is splitting up the day, trying to find a pool that is at the hotel that they choose and trying to make sure that that is what they need and trying again to kind of split up the day. So maybe going in the morning, coming back for the afternoon when it gets hot, when it gets really busy, and then maybe coming back for late afternoon and ending early. So that way you're not with the huge crowd that comes into the park.
And
But
is there,
definitely try. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, it's all right. You can say definitely try.
Oh, definitely trying to find a pool with that hotel and included in that package as well to
Right.
make sure they have what they need.
Is there anything that you would say absolutely no to? Like, a parent says, "Oh, we should be so lucky to afford it," but hey, I want to go down for a month or something. Is there anything you're like, that's probably not the greatest idea, or anything like
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. I think one thing I would just be wary of definitely is like the evening shows because they can get extremely crowded and extremely loud. So if that is something that their child really wants to do, I would encourage you to kind of book a dining reservation that would have access, that would be a lot quieter, maybe from like a patio or a hotel that would be nearby so you can see it without the crowds. Or if you are going to brace the crowds and bringing sensory headphones, so that way it'll help a little bit with that. And trying to stay in a little side area
Hmm.
instead of in the middle of it.
Do you also work with Disneyland?
Yes, Disneyland, Disney Cruise, Adventures by Disney, and Disneyland Paris.
And what's your favorite section of the park?
Oh gosh, that's a hard one to pick here. I would say Disneyland, I think I love just because that's where it all started. But I do think Disney World has a lot more available.
And your favorite,
Park within it?
yeah,
Oh, it's even harder. I would say actually Hollywood Studios is now my favorite with all of the new things they have released with Star Wars,
uh-huh.
with Toy Story. I absolutely love that one now. I think it's become my top favorite.
Awesome. Anything that maybe I missed, Jen, or?
I think you covered absolutely everything.
Awesome. So we always wrap it up. We have as part of our marketing and branding superheroes. So we have one superhero for each one of the disciplines for occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech language therapy, and for ABA or behavioral therapy. So we wrap up by asking the guest, what superpower, if you could have any superpower, and now that you're in that world, you should know your superpowers, and let us know why.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely pick flying just because I'd want to see the world and be able to fly anywhere at the drop of the hat would be absolutely amazing.
Me and you both.
Uh,
All right, Jen, well, it was a pleasure having you. Hopefully, this helps out some families. Hopefully, they can get in touch with you, as we've aforementioned some of the places to get a hold of you and to help those people out.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Well,
it.
thank you for what you're doing. It's a great service to this community.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a great one now.
To continue the conversation, visit the links to our website, Facebook page, or Instagram in the comments.